Before we start this video, I need to give you a very serious warning. This is one of the most disturbing and graphic true crime cases ever documented. It involves extreme prolonged torture, repeated sexual violence, and unimaginable cruelty against a 17-year-old girl. If you are under 18 or sensitive to heavy content, please stop watching now. This story is told for educational purposes only, to remember the victim and discuss failures in the justice system. Let's go back to 1988 in Japan. The country was in the middle of its economic bubble, full of hope and prosperity for many young people. Among them was a bright, ordinary 17-year-old girl named Junko Furuta. Junko was born on January 18, 1971, in Masato, Saitama Prefecture. She lived with her parents and two brothers, an older brother and a younger one. She attended Yoshio Minami High School, where she was known as a good student with excellent grades. Teachers and classmates described her as friendly, hard-working, polite, and full of positive energy. She wasn't the type to party or get into trouble. Instead, she focused on her studies and her part-time job. In October 1988, Junko started working at a local plastic molding factory. She was saving money for a graduation trip with her friends and dreamed of becoming an idol singer or working in retail after high school. Like many teenage girls at the time, she loved watching Japanese TV dramas and looked forward to coming home after work to have dinner with her family. Her life was simple, normal, and full of quiet hopes for the future. But on Friday, November 25, 1988, everything changed forever. That evening, after finishing her shift at the factory around 8:30 p.m., Junko got on her bicycle and began riding home through the quiet streets of Masato. She was probably thinking about the next episode of her favorite drama or what she would eat for dinner. At the same time, 18-year-old Hiroshi Miyano, a known delinquent with connections to the Yakuza, was out with his 16-year-old friend Shinji Minato. They were riding motorcycles, looking for girls to harass. When they spotted Junko, Miyano tried to flirt with her aggressively. When she politely refused him, he became enraged. He knocked her off her bicycle, dragged her into a nearby abandoned warehouse, and raped her. Then he called his other friends, 17-year-old Joe Ogura and 17-year-old Yasushi Watanabe. All four boys took turns raping her that night. Instead of releasing her, they decided to take her to Shinji Minato's family home in the Ayase district of Adachi, Tokyo. This ordinary two-story house would become the site of 44 days of pure hell. What makes this case even more shocking is that Minato's parents and older brother were living in the same house the entire time. They knew something terrible was happening upstairs, but they were reportedly too scared of their violent son and his Yakuza-connected friends to intervene. They continued going to work and living their daily lives while a girl was being tortured just meters away. From the very beginning, the abuse was relentless and sadistic. Junko was kept mostly naked. She was beaten every single day with golf clubs, iron bars, bamboo sticks, dumbbells, and anything else the boys could find. They burned her skin with lighters, cigarettes, and hot wax. They poured boiling water over her body. They shaved her head and pubic hair. They forced her to eat live cockroaches and drink her own urine because the beatings had damaged her bladder so badly that she lost control. The sexual violence was constant. It is estimated that Junko was raped over 400 times by more than 100 different men. The four main perpetrators invited friends, acquaintances, and even Yakuza members to the house to participate. Some days, groups of up to 12 men would assault her. They treated her worse than an animal. They hung her from the ceiling fan by her wrists and used her as a human punching bag. They dropped heavy barbells on her stomach. They inserted scissors, metal bars, fireworks, and even a light bulb into her body and caused explosions. They forced her to masturbate in front of them, to sing and dance while being beaten, and to sleep naked on the freezing balcony during winter nights. At one point, they locked her in the freezer for hours. Junko showed incredible strength and tried to escape or call for help multiple times. On one occasion, she managed to grab the house phone and started dialing the police, but the boys caught her before she could speak. As punishment, they chained her legs and poured lighter fluid on her feet and set them on fire. After about 20 days, she could no longer walk because of broken bones, severe burns, and infected wounds all over her body. Despite her condition, the torture continued. She was starved, dehydrated, and forced to vomit from the pain, which only made the boys angrier. They burned her eyelids with hot wax. They crushed her fingers with dumbbells. Medical experts later determined that her internal organs, especially her uterus, were so severely damaged that she was reportedly pregnant at the time of her death, a horrifying detail that shows the extent of the repeated sexual assaults. Junko's family was desperate. They reported her missing on November 27, just 2 days after the abduction. The captors knew the police were searching, so they forced Junko to call her mother and say that she had run away with a boyfriend and was safe. They made her beg her parents to stop the search. Her mother, heartbroken but believing her daughter, asked the police to reduce the intensity of the investigation. There were even moments when the police came close to saving her. One of the boy's acquaintances told his brother what was happening. The brother informed the parents, who called the police. 2 officers actually visited the Minato house, but the parents lied and said there was no girl inside. The officers accepted their word and left without searching the house properly. Many people believe that if the police had done a thorough search that day, Junko could have been saved after only about 16 days of captivity. By late December 1988, Junko was barely recognizable. She had lost a massive amount of weight, her body was covered in burns, bruises, and open wounds, and she could hardly speak or move. She was surviving on almost nothing. On January 4, 1989, the boys were playing mahjong. When one of them lost the game, they took out their frustration on Junko. They beat her for hours with an iron barbell. Then they poured lighter fluid all over her legs, arms, face, and stomach and set her on fire. Junko went into severe shock. She died on January 5, 1989, from her extensive injuries and traumatic shock. She was only 17 years old. Even after her death, the horror continued. The boys wrapped her body in blankets, stuffed it into a large 55-gallon metal oil drum, filled the drum with wet concrete, and dumped it at a construction site on Wakasu Island in Koto, Tokyo. They believed no one would ever find her. The case only came to light because on January 23, 1989, Miyano and Ogura were arrested for gang raping another 19-year-old woman. When police searched Miyano's home and found women's underwear, the boys panicked. They thought the police already knew about Junko and confessed everything, describing the 44 days of torture in horrifying detail. On March 29, 1989, police located the concrete drum and broke it open. Junko's body was identified by fingerprints because it was so badly damaged. The autopsy revealed the full, devastating extent of what she had endured. The 4 main perpetrators were arrested, Hiroshi Miyano, 18, the ringleader Joe Agra, 17, Shinji Minato, 16, the house where it happened Yasushi Watanabe, 17, they were tried as juveniles. They pleaded guilty not to murder, but to causing bodily injury resulting in death. Because of Japan's lenient juvenile justice system at the time, their sentences were shockingly light. Hiroshi Miyano received 20 years, later increased to 20 years after appeal. Joe Agra received 5 to 10 years. Shinji Minato received 5 to 9 years. Yasushi Watanabe received 5 to 7 years. The Japanese public was outraged. Many felt the justice system protected the perpetrators more than the victim. The case sparked a huge national debate about juvenile crime laws. Over the years, all four were eventually released after serving their sentences. Some changed their names. There have been reports that at least one reoffended. Junko's family suffered immensely. Her mother was hospitalized from the trauma, and they even faced vandalism at Junko's grave. As of 2026, the case remains one of the most infamous and discussed crimes in Japan's post-war history. It is still used as an example of extreme human cruelty and the failures of the justice system when it comes to protecting victims. Junko Furuta was just a normal teenage girl who wanted to live, dream, graduate, and enjoy life. Instead, she endured 44 days of hell that no human being should ever have to experience. Her story is a dark, painful reminder of what happens when empathy disappears completely and evil is allowed to continue without immediate consequences. Rest in peace, Junko. Your suffering will never be forgotten, and your name continues to serve as a warning. If this extremely heavy story affected you, please leave a like and subscribe. Should juvenile offenders who commit such adult-level crimes be tried as adults? What changes would you make to the justice system? Thank you for watching this difficult case with respect and for remembering Junko. Stay safe, be kind, and never look away from evil when you see it.